All right, I think I'm live. Just wait to get some comments through to see if I am. If there's anybody there, of course, I don't know. Try and work this out a bit better this time. Okay, got the chat window open. All check. I guess there'll be a delay as well on the stream, so. Aha, you're there. Awesome. Hey, how's it going, everyone? How's your Friday going? It is currently 10 o'clock at night in South Korea, so I've got myself a beer for the live stream. I guess it might be quite early for the American folks, and it'd be 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I guess, for UK. Good evening. Hey, Matthew. This, I guess we've got some questions coming already, but this won't really be a Q&A. This one is more going to be a discussion about the UK math rock scene with my guest that I will be inviting shortly. 11 p.m. in Australia. Wow, so an hour ahead there. So I'm not going to get drunk. No, I've only got the one beer for myself. So yeah, you all having a good Friday, yeah? Middle East, 5 p.m. Good. Oh, hello, Jim. Favorite releases probably that's going to be Golfer's newest album and Tangled Hair, of course. So. Hawaii, 3 a.m. before I go to bed. Jeez, wow. Well, thanks for sticking around. That's awesome. Wow. 9 a.m. in New York. Yeah, I guess it's the morning commute to work over there, right? Yeah, Trico. Yeah, I saw them a couple of months back. And I got Win trolling me already. I love you too, Win. Thanks for showing up. All right, so I think I'll invite my guests. Seems how there's a few of us here now. So I'm using Google Hangouts this time, so bear with me if there's a few complications. So. All right, invite. This is interesting watching me type on the keyboard. All right, so let's invite my guest. This what I want to do on this one, it won't really be me playing guitar. It's more about having discussion, and you guys can jump in on the discussion as well, wherever you see fit. So, but I will be doing another Q&A live stream soon enough, and I'll have my guitar on that one as well. So, favorite math rock song? You're crazy. There's so many that I like. So, cider is where it's at, to be honest. Yeah, cider. I can get cider here, but it costs quite a lot. But you get more and more of it appearing in various bars that I've been to. So, all right. I hope that invitation worked. Otherwise, it's going to be an awkward podcast. So. I think we have a liftoff. So. Awesome. Hey, great stuff. So,
okay, cool.
My special guest is very special today. So, my special guest is Ali, who's the you may know is the bass player in my band, our band, I should say, Mountains. We did a video a few months back on bass math rock video, and Ali's played in a few bands, mathy kind of bands in Korea as well. Previous projects such as Colors and Visuals. And when he was in the UK, he was in a band called Beyond This Point Are Monsters, and they were from Derby. And that was before, like I said, moving here. And he occasionally writes for the math rock website, Fecking Bahamas, and covering, like lesser known math rock scenes, Hong Kong and South Korea and Taiwan, and also South Africa. And also helping out on some special pieces there. So and he's also a great organizer of shows. We would have none if it wasn't for him, and is a avid bass player and plays in many different projects in South Korea, present and past as well. So if you want to say hello, Ali, I guess.
Hello, everyone. Hi.
There you go. It's going to switch back and forth, I believe, when we speak, so you'll be able to see both of us throughout the video. Hey, this Jake is from Derby, so
Okay.
and we got a Korean person in the comments as well. So 안녕하세요. Awesome. So I introduced you can't see the comments. Did you say, Ali?
Yeah, right. I haven't got the link for the
video. Okay.
Yeah, right. If you'd send me that, then I can see all the lovely comments that everyone's making.
Sure thing. Yeah, I think I can find it. The video. So, view on watch page. There we go.
At least, yeah, I can see what people are talking about in the comments.
I think I can put the. Where can you put the comments? I can send to you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. So yeah, please, if you have any questions whilst we're chatting, feel free to leave comments, and yeah, we'll try and answer your questions and such.
Yeah, just jump in on the conversation. But I've put the link in the comment in the group chat for you, so you should be able to click that one now.
Yeah, I got that.
Awesome.
And
okay.
Hopefully, yeah, should start seeing people's comments and stuff. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the stream seems okay, and we've got 25 people watching, so that's great.
Okay, hello everyone.
If anyone is showing up. So.
Okay, so we should probably address what grade did we get in GCSE maths?
Jeez, yeah, I got a C, I think.
I think, yeah, I got a C too as well. Maths was not my strong point at all.
You know, I got a D in music though. So that's not
well,
good.
You've been proving them wrong since then.
Well, that was when I did my exam. The principal was hovering over me, and it really put me off. So yeah, quaking in my boots at that time. So
cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, hello to Jake from Derby. Derby.
Oh, the Math Rock Times are here as well. Hey,
right.
Hello.
Hey.
Awesome.
Yeah, Derby well, I'm not really sure exactly what the scene is exactly like at the moment. I know there are still a few bands going, but maybe between 5 and 10 years ago, it was a really fantastic place for music in general. A few math rock bands, and obviously the great, fantastic Crash of Rhinos were from Derby as well. So yeah, it was really cool playing in the same city as those. I believe 3 of the members of Crash of Rhinos have just started a new project called Holding Patterns. I've heard some like live snippets, and it sounds pretty awesome. So yeah, if you're living in Derby, Jake, go check that out.
Jake says it's a sad scene in Derby now. So.
Ah, that sucks. Well, I know. All right, the captain kind of went on a little hiatus there.
So the agenda for this conversation, I think I introduced it earlier, was that we're going to discuss like our experiences of the UK math rock scene and like, you know, Midwest emo and whatever that comes up in the conversation. And I guess we should point out that I left the UK in 2012 and you left in 2011, was it? So
2010, late 2010. So
wow, yeah. So we've been out of the loop to say since then. So but
we were talking about how we're kind of a little bit of a time capsule of 2010 to 2005, or like vice versa. Not that we haven't been paying attention to what's been going on back home, but that was when we left, and that was when we stopped going to shows in that. You know,
being involved in the scene and stuff. So
exactly, yeah.
No, thanks for stuff. He says he's been watching my channel every week, so from Nepal as well. So that's great. Yeah, some people in this video are like up in America, like Hawaii and stuff. So it's like middle of the morning there. So that's kind of cool, right?
Good morning. So a perfect time to take a swig of beer, I think.
Join in with us, right?
Yeah, feel free in Hawaii if you want to drink some beer, or red wine. Fancy a tipple if you like that. Yeah, so we're going to have a look at some of the UK math rock scene as we remember it, I guess, in a way. But
Yep.
also, I feel like that was a really awesome time for UK math rock, for UK bands in general as
Yeah, we're
well.
talking like from 2005 to 2010, I guess. Well, 2011 maybe.
Yeah.
That kind of period. So, well, if you want to start, like, how did you discover per se, what math rock is, or what bands made you get into the if you can call it a genre, I guess.
Sure, yeah. The first band that I encountered that was math rock was a band called Tie Diary from Leicester, which is actually my hometown. And
yeah.
they, I can't remember where I saw them, but I think I went to some local band show. There was a bunch of bands of different genres playing, and Tie Diary came on, and they played this kind of music that was just, it was kind of euphoric in the way that I guess that whole Midwest emo was euphoric, but the way that they were doing it was a little bit more angular. There was a lot of like gang chants going on,
Right.
a lot of these intricate melodies from the two guitarists, and they had two vocalists as well. One of them played bass, one of them just sang, but they both sang a lot and they harmonized over the top of each other in this weird and beautiful ways. And that, I guess, was the first time that I encountered a math rock band. And maybe I'd heard them use that term, maybe jokingly, but they kind of mentioned it to me after chatting to them. And they also put on shows, these shows in Leicester for a little bit, which were free shows midweek, and you would go and you weren't ever really sure who you were going to see, but it was always something really, really interesting. So I think maybe You Slut's second or third ever show, it was pretty early on. They came and played in Leicester, and like 3 audience members walked out within 10 seconds of the first song. And I just like walked to the front of the stage like, this is amazing. I don't know what this is, but I think I'm in love. So Tie Diary and You Slut.
Yeah, this guy is saying in the chat Tie Diary, like many question marks.
No, not Tie Diary, like reggae. Think like reggae. Tired Diary. Yeah. Seriously, check them out. Maybe we can share some links later on. Their stuff is on Bandcamp now. They went a little bit glam pop towards the end of their career, but the first, I guess, 2 or 3 years of their existence, they were very kind of Chicago-esque, a little bit dry, but like I say, all the gang chants and stuff, it was really awesome to watch. And the stuff that they were doing in the scene. Yeah, you got it right. Tie Diary, that exact spelling.
Tie Diary. Oh, awesome.
Comments there. Well done.
Okay. Well, there's something new for everyone, I guess. If you can, these kind of things, like I was searching today, trying to find all these old bands, and it's like, the Google searches you're trying to put in to find them. And it's especially like all the MySpace stuff I was looking at, and, the music player doesn't work on there at the moment. So it's like, which sucks.
I did actually look at one band that I want to talk about later called Crick from Liverpool, that were a 2-piece, and I checked their Bandcamp page, and I was just like, so they've got a Bandcamp page now, but the one link on the side is to MySpace, and that's it. There's no Facebook link or anything on there at all.
Right.
Yeah, and those were the days. Yeah. So we're gonna sound like granddads a little bit in this one. Hopefully we can focus more on the music rather than social media stuff.
Cool stuff. Yeah, for me it was like the first kind of bands that I was starting to listen to that were a bit more alternative in the local scene I was in Nuneaton, and I think the first like kind of a different alternative kind of band was a band called Mirror Mirror.
Yeah, right. They were from Coventry.
From Coventry, the most of the members, Coventry and Nuneaton. So. They later became youths because there's an artist called Mirror Mirror were trying to sue them with for the names.
Right, yeah. Well, they became youths, and their sound really, really changed as well. I remember hearing like the first 2 demos that they put out, again on MySpace, and they were these like crazy, like the idea that you have of At the Drive-In being this like chaotic, crazy punk band. They were that, and I actually loved it. I love that name Mirror Mirror as well, with the exclamation marks.
All of the like crazy slides on guitar and that like dissonant seventh harmony kind of stuff.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then
But,
yeah, they got I guess they got sued. They changed the name to Uves, like U with a VE, and they
VES
were a
on the
little
end.
bit
Yeah.
more poppy after that, and it wasn't. I didn't dig it as much after that.
Yeah.
At that point,
and then but yeah, when I first got into it, it was like more like the post hardcore, I guess you could say, like that, and definitely at the drive-in. And then I discovered Fall of Troy because of my best friend. He showed me them, or I showed him. I can't remember, but funny story with that. I tried to show him a song in a pub, so I put Fall of Troy into the the karaoke machine. And I put the Fall of Troy. I was like, you gotta listen to this, man. And I played the song, and it was the song Tom Waits, there's got a song called The Fall of Troy.
Oh really? Okay.
So that I was like, listen to this song, dude, it's gonna blow your mind. And it's like
well, maybe you got him into Tom Waits, which is that's pretty cool.
So I was, and then eventually I think I showed him what I wanted to, but yeah, then
so yeah, the guy in the comments got it spelt right, Crick there. CRICK. That's exactly. So if you type in Crick and Bandcamp, you'll
please spell every band name. Yeah.
Yeah, we should start writing it.
Yeah. Well, what was it? Mirror had didn't have exclamation marks.
Right, it did. But yeah, maybe we can make a list of these bands after the chat and put it.
Yeah, I'll put them in the comment. So
right.
And what was the other one? Youths as well. Like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
They were good too. And I can't remember how, but then I jumped to Blackfish and Shapes in the Birmingham scene. That's how I started to get into more of the mathy side of things. But it was all the music I first got into was very angry kind of music. So.
Well, it's the energy of it. I think that
yeah. And you're going to see bands live that play like that really has an impact on you, right? So the band I was in, we did we were called To the Void, and we were like that kind of style, so very spazzy and heavy, and we were doing really intricate kind of stuff and using lots of dissonant kind of chords and things like that. Yeah, that was influenced again by these bands that we went to watch and we were listening to at the time as well. So then I broke into the Birmingham side of scene, I guess. So that was Blackfish and Shapes and all the bands between this is from 2007, I would say. I started doing this, and it was such a big touring circuit in the UK, right? All these bands would go together. You'd have Colour and Blackfish and Tube Lord and all these bands on the same bill. And whenever they came through Birmingham, they'd play at the Flapper or something like that. So I'd always go down to that show with my friends. And yeah, that I think the first ever show that I watched was I think the bill was Blackfish, Shapes, and Colour. And Shapes played first, and they did the song. I forgot what it's called now, but it has the loop pedal going all the way through it. And that was the first time I ever saw a loop pedal. And they played along with this loop going on in the background, and perfectly in time, and blew my mind. That did. And
I think I had a similar thing with Battles. Seeing them play at some, I think it was an All Tomorrow's Parties festival. And the way that they were using effects pedals, which I guess is a pretty heavy part of math rock, is the way that we use effect pedals to our benefit to create these weird sounds. So yeah, seeing them use loop pedals in that way, that blew my mind as well, and has just made me want to incorporate looping into everything. And yeah, don't see it as cheating or anything like that. So yeah, that was really on the circuit thing as well. Living in Leicester, there was a guy called John, who was the guitarist in Maybe Shoe Will. I don't know if anyone knows that. But he worked at a local pub as the show organizer for that place, and he would bring those bands pretty much every time they toured. He would bring them to the Firebug in Leicester.
Great venue.
And yeah, it was always a really, really good show. I guess all of these bands Shapes, Blackfish, Tube Lord, Colour, even Meet Me in St. Louis and stuff.
Yeah,
They were all on Big Scary Monsters.
yeah.
So they became like the label for math rock of that era, at least. If we wanted, like, if they signed a band,
they
then
would all be together, like
right, exactly, and you would know, like, you would know to go check those out. You would know that they were in your, realm of interest as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. One guy asks, do you like Slint? Yeah. I'm a big
Yeah,
fan,
I do.
man.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I really like the Spiderland, man. Such a good album. So.
Right.
And the story behind all of that is great as well. So.
I think that was more towards the post-rock side. So for me, like, I came to math rock from post-rock, from listening to post-rock quite heavily, and then very quickly getting bored of it, because post-rock, like, it's lovely music, but it can be very repetitive and slow.
Yes.
And when you are a teenager and you just want to rock out,
punk and so,
yeah, exactly.
You want a punk show, right? So like you came from the post rock. Mine was, like I said, like from the heavy side of things. So I went from heavy to more mellow kind of styles.
I went the other way. Post rock to very, very heavy. So like, seeing those bands coming through, and I think again it is that punk thing as well, where like the energy that punk has, but then these kids who wherever the influence came from wanted to do something a little bit more technical. So seeing bands mix that technicality of jazz, or maybe prog, but like the different time signatures and the non-linear songs and all of this kind of stuff, with the energy of punk, with the speed and the liveliness of it, I guess that was what really, really attracted me to that genre. Why, like, these bands weren't repeating parts. It wasn't verse, chorus, verse. It wasn't predictable. And a lot of music, even post-rock, is incredibly predictable.
That's really a good point. Like, because I was studying music, I was at college and uni doing music, so I was always looking for that, new kind of thing to hear, and that was really what captivated my attention. And throughout my friends as well, very similar, interests and tastes and stuff like that. So it's great stuff. Like, the guy asks, this dance guy, what's with the blurring between dance punk and math rock in England? I've never heard that before.
Oh, well, I imagine that's the fault of Foals.
Foals,
right. So Foals, there's kind of an interesting story there, in the fact that the Oxford scene for math rock was one of the really big ones, especially in like 2004 and 5. So This Town Needs Guns. They come from just outside of Oxford. They were a little bit more mellow. And when they started, I remember thinking that they were a rip-off of another band in Oxford called Youth Movie Soundtrack Strategies, who changed their name to Youth Movies towards the end. They just reunited and did some benefit shows after like 10 years away. But Youth Movie Soundtrack Strategies were amazing. They did like these long, complex songs with huge intros before the vocals came in, and they were such an inspirational band. Like the kind of inspirational band where I would stop listening to them because I would just want to give up on playing music totally. Like, I can never write anything as good as this, so I just got to stop listening to that band. So anyway, Youth Movies, when they started, they did a split with a band called the Edmund Fitzgerald. And the Edmund Fitzgerald, you can find some of their stuff on YouTube. It was like very dissonant chords, really fast, these like weird ideas, guitar stabs here and there. And the drummer and the guitarist from that band, they went to form Foals like straight away after, or just after Edmund Fitzgerald split up. And the guitarist, one of the guitarists from Youth Movies, Andrew Mears, he was in Foals originally. So the first Foals release, which was a 7-inch, was called You Can Play This on Your Piano. And they had 3 guitarists on that one. It's a really good song. It's of that ilk of being, like, you can kind of see where Foals came from that. But the first release was nothing like the dance pop thing that they went into after that. Anyway, so after about a year or so, Foals lost 2 of the guitarists. They gained a keyboardist, and they started doing what we perhaps call like pop math or dance math or whatever genre you want to put on it. But it's like those guitar licks that you would expect from mathy stuff, but with a dance beat behind it, basically.
Right,
and
right,
with choruses and with all this
Okay,
kind of stuff going on. And they obviously inspired a lot of bands after that to do the same thing. I think this was the same time that Battles released Mirrored and hit it pretty big as well. So maybe people were looking at Battles and going like, we can make... Yeah, well, I loved Mirrored because I thought it was a pop album. I thought it was a perfect, like, just so much melody going on in it. And so, yeah, I think bands were looking at Foals, the really easy, simple, but well-crafted stuff, and then the out of this world, like alien stuff that was coming from Battles and like that first album, and just going like, okay, we can do this stuff and it can be like poppy at the same time as being weird and energetic as well. So yeah.
Well, that's great. Do you guys like Totoro? Yeah, I like if you
yeah, they're okay. Yeah. There's a really good band from France. I remember that time, and called John Mackay, like John as the name with a H, and Mackay, I think. 2-piece, did a lot of looping. They're still going apparently, but yeah, they're a really good French band to check out. I think with Fecking Bahamas we released a French compilation CD maybe last year or the year before. So if you check out the Fecking Bahamas Bandcamp page, episode 3 was France centered, and there's about 20 bands on there. It's free to download, and you can get into a lot of obscure French math rock bands that way. Yeah, that's right, John Mackay, exactly spelled like that. Also, so a few people have mentioned Dan and Aykroyd.
Yeah,
and like
I was about to jump in with that.
Yeah, they were amazing. And I don't think like they were not really that mathy necessarily, but they played with a lot of those bands. They played with color and that
bands that like floated around in, they don't fit. That's like, us, in Korea, like we always play sets with just, we're trying to find our like people that we play shows with on a regular basis, but we're quite, similar in some ways, but very different at others.
Well, here we just don't have that much of a math rock scene. There are maybe 3 bands in the entire country, so we are inevitably going to play shows with bands that are not math rock. But then I think with Dan and Aykroyd, they kind of fit the same bubble as a lot of the big scary monster bands, and they would play together a lot. They came to Derby quite a bit as well. And yeah, they were really, really fun to watch. They actually met Bill Murray once in an airport, which I thought was hilarious. They're like, hey, we're Dan and Aykroyd. And Bill Murray told them to change their name. Billy Lee Murray. Yeah, I don't think they ever did that, but yeah, they were really cool.
Cool stuff. All right, what should we get on to next? I think
well, I think it'd be interesting to look at where that era of UK math rock came from, or at least what preceded it. Because I think a lot of what inspired those bands to do the stuff that they did, and mainly tour a lot as well, was the UK kind of rock scene that came before that. So like early 2000s, and I'm thinking bands like Reuben, Million Dead, 100 Reasons, Headless for Heroes, bands that were definitely not math rock at all, but they were touring all the time, and like you could see them play, and they would come and tour your tiny shitty town as well. They would come and play there. I remember reading that I forget his name now, but who's the guitarist singer in This Town Needs Guns? Henry.
Henry.
Yeah, Henry.
Henry.
Yeah, right. He wrote a while back that what inspired him to start a band was seeing a band from Ireland called Tracer AMC come to play in Brompton or wherever it is that they're from. And it was just like this is an amazing kind of band. They were a little bit more post-rock than math rock, but they were touring constantly. So that inspired this whole like wave of new kids to start doing music as well. So yeah, that kind of hardcore rock scene, like, you know, post-hardcore, whatever you want to call it. But those bands, Million Dead, Ruben, Hellas for Heroes, I think they definitely inspired a lot of those kids. And if you listen to the early youth movies stuff and Blackfish, you can see where like the bridge between what they were doing. Yeah, absolutely.
I said, like, I was a big, you know, I really like dug 100 Reasons. You know, there wasn't music like that really at the time. Well, there obviously was bands, but that was, you know, like, you know, vocals like that, you know, shouting, but also having like really melodic phrasing, and it was really awesome to listen to. It's like it can be angry, but then, like, you know, have this enjoyment as well.
Right. And obviously these bands like kind of existed somewhere, but for us at that age, going to shows and watching local bands, we hadn't seen anything like that before.
Yeah, so, the very early influences I had, I said it was very like just emo based. You know, I was listening to Braid and the Get Up Kids, and when I was doing my first band, we were very like emo kind of pop punk kind of stuff. We were called Roadside Romance.
Check it out on MySpace.
It is on MySpace, but you can't play it though because its player's broken. But but they were the influences there, and I was always had something for you know, emo tinged music, and you know, that evolved into, you know, like the Midwest kind of sound. You know, I especially loved the scene, you know, coming out of you know, Chicago, all them kind of bands. So
I say for me, I got into those a lot later. I would do this thing where I would discover a local band, and then I would chat to them, and they'd go like, "Oh, well, you know, have you heard At the Drive-In, or have you heard American Football?" And I go, "No, I have no idea what they're." And then I'd go listen to those bands, and then oh, this is where this kind of music came from. Like, this was the influence for these local bands that I really loved.
Yeah. When my friend introduced me to, you know, American Football album, just this, you know, the start of that CD, you know, just the drums and stuff, just instantly in love there, I guess, as many people.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's try and keep it to the UK, I guess.
Yes, yeah, we definitely try and keep it here. So I guess one label that we talked about, Big Scary Monsters, and if you go and check their roster out, like present and past artists,
but they had Andrew WK on there.
They did. I remember them being very excited about that. I think it was 1 7-inch or 2 7-inches and some Foals. Yeah. There was a weird thing, like everyone in that math scene was weirdly a huge fan of Andrew WK. I didn't get it myself. Yeah, so check out Big Scary Monsters roster, especially the past artists, and you will find all the bands that, like the core bands that we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about right now. I guess,
Blackfish, Meet Me in St. Louis, who I guess were a little bit earlier than that as well. But Meet Me in St. Louis, Blackfish, and Shapes. They were all like Wintermute as well from Leeds. They were a little bit math poppy as well, but they were really, really good.
These guys in the comments, man, just did I just hear 7 inches? All right,
7 inches. Yeah, 7 inches of vinyl. Obviously.
But the first time I heard variations of swing, my best friend showed me in his car when we're going somewhere, and I wasn't keen. You know, the vocals really put me off, and then
I actually never liked that, man. It's too much.
Then years later, it was just when I was living in Birmingham. It's like 2009, 10. I just like fell in love with it, and I just had it. You know, I still had my portable CD player, so I just had that album, and I'd listen to it, you know, to and from work, and I was just fascinated that, like you said earlier, about, you know, you can create a whole album where there's not a part that repeats. I don't think so anyway. That album.
No, it was very like
really catchy and
like part, which is
really well written.
The whole math rock thing, yeah, exactly. But they can still keep it interesting. I actually I was talking about those old shows in Leicester that were midweek and free. I saw Meet Me in St. Louis play at that one. It was really interesting to see the drummer because he had the most minimalistic setup. I think it was like a hi-hat, a snare, and a kick.
And a kick, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Like
the album is just that as well. So and a ride, sorry, and a ride.
And also like if you listen to Color, like the early Color stuff and the later stuff before they split up, the bass changes totally from being very like root note to a little bit weirder, and that's because the bass player from Meet Me in St. Louis joined Color towards like the last year or two of their existence. I think the Big Scary Monsters Bandcamp page has Color Anthology. I think it's out on vinyl now as well. It's a wonderful CD. Like it's the Color were amazing.
Yeah, when I saw them at the gig, that was when I first saw like having the guitars, because I always just thought like playing at the same time was my world, and then I just heard like two guitar parts coming in and out of each other kind of thing.
Right, exactly. Like the melodies here and then the melodies there.
Yeah, and just like stabs on this guitar. Meet Me St. Louis did that a lot as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, guys said in the comment here that the the tour with TTNG, Chun, and Shriko that's coming up. So apparently TTNG are opening for Chun, not the other way around. But I thought Chun was a bigger band.
They are, yeah. Again, I don't really understand the popularity of Chun. They're fantastic musicians, but it's a little bit excessive for me. A little bit masturbatory on the fretboard for my liking.
I like it, but yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, no, it's not my bag anyway. But obviously they are the much bigger band at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that weird.
History-wise, probably.
Also, it's a US tour as well, and Chun are from the US.
Yeah.
And TTNG are not.
Well, they changed their name, didn't they? Because there were the controversy they kept getting in the States. So
I think it was like touring the States with "This Town Needs Guns" as your name. Yeah, that was probably something they had to deal with.
Fun fact: I did an interview when I was at college, I think it was, and it's like a podcast kind of thing I had to do, and I introduced band names, and I said, "This Town That Needs Guns." My friend never lets up on that every time.
But that's a pretty good tour, and I mean, like a tour like that would have not have happened in those early days of like I was saying 2005 to 2010.
Yeah, I think how crazy
it was still building.
There's like a show now going on in the States where there's loads of people going to see TTNG and Chun.
Right, exactly. And without wanting to pull the cart with, this is going to sound terrible, but like I would see them play in Leicester and Derby in 2005, 2006, 2007 to 10 people. Right. And I mean, it's totally different iteration of the band, but
yes,
I think it's awesome how far they've come. Like they've kept going. And, like, yeah.
What do you think to the change they had? Like, from going from when who was it again? Stewart, changed to Henry. At first, I wasn't keen on Henry because he was too in tune. If that makes sense.
I like his vocal style.
Yeah, but no, I really like it now. But at first, because I'm such a fan of just that, I told you that Midwest emo moaning kind of vocals where everything's forced and slightly out of tune, and that's what Henry's style was in parts. So I think I really enjoyed that, and not Henry, sorry, Stewart. And then it changed to Henry, and it's much more delicate voice and singing perfectly, and and at first I wasn't a fan, but yeah.
I think the songwriting got better. I mean, I know the vocal thing. I know people have been arguing.
But that was a big debate for a while, right?
It's such a lame argument. It doesn't really matter. If you like the early stuff, great. That's fine. If you like the new vocals, that's fine. But I think them as a band, like their songwriting has improved tremendously as they've gone on. The drumming's gotten better. They've become more exciting to watch and to listen to.
This town needs strict firearm regulations.
I think they should have changed their name to that and toward toward the States.
When they're in the States, right?
Yeah, exactly. So another label that I really want to talk about was the Richter Collective. I guess Richter, like the artist. They were from Ireland, and they kind of stopped doing stuff maybe 2010 or 11. Like they actually stopped as a label. But check out their Bandcamp page. or their website or whatever, their roster of bands is a who's who of like some of the greatest bands that were existing at that time and still going now. So Adebisi Shank, and actually was the drummer from Adebisi Shank. He ran the Richter Collective. Enemies, who we know and love. And so I watch from afar who, for an instrumental band to have become as big as they are and be touring all the time and doing these like huge tours and stuff is absolutely fantastic.
I say Enemies are my favorite out of that.
Yeah, it's such a shame that they kind of split up as well.
Right. You watch the live stream
those
of that last show?
Bats from Ireland, who have they promised us an album so long ago, and hopefully it'll come soon. But they were that awesome mix of hardcore and weird matty stuff, but with all the scientific lyrics and stuff going on with it as well. It was really, really cool to see those bands. Continuous Battle of Order, a little two-piece noodly thing. Warrior, who were actually from the States, but they were on Richter Collective. They were an amazing, they were a more techie version of what Foals started out being as well. So very poppy, but these like amazing dual guitar licks going on between them. The Richter Collective, I really miss them as a label. They were my go-to label. Like anything that they signed, anything that they put out, I knew was going to be amazing, and I would listen to it.
Yeah. These days, it's like I check out like Sargent House or or the what's the one that Delta sleeps on? I forget the name of it.
Sure, but Top Shelf as well. Obviously,
Top Shelf, they do mine,
Golfer and stuff like that.
That's what we played. Cool.
So I think the reason the Richter Collective ended was that the guy who was running it, he started to run Sargent House UK. So he just stopped his own thing and then just focused on the UK branch of Sargent House. I'm not sure if he's still doing that or not. Like I say, I've been out of it for a while. But Sargent House, Top Shelf. Friend of mine records in Japan.
That's friends of mine records. It's like
White Noise records in Hong Kong. Sweaty and Cramped in Hong Kong. They do a lot of really, really cool stuff still. But anyway, this is more modern stuff.
Matthew Chan asks, your thoughts on the new Delta Sleep intro teaser. I watched it today.
I have not seen it. No, not yet. I'm not really down with teasers and clips and even music videos.
You gotta check this one out, man.
I just want to see I just want the album. Like, just give me the album and I'll listen to it. But
they recorded it down in Italy, but the video is awesome, and it's just like, I guess it's going to be maybe the intro track to the album, but like it sounds great. Like
okay, cool.
And Colin asks, are you going to re-upload the stream later? As soon as the stream ends, it would just upload automatically, and I think you can reverse the stream as well, so you'll be able to go back to the start whilst we're broadcasting now. So John's saying, seeing as it's titled as a series. Oh yeah. So he's replying to that guy. I see.
Yeah, sure.
Teaser's too long. Yeah,
Okay, so is there any other bands from that era you want to tell us about? Talk about there, Stephen? I think I've name checked pretty much every band that I have on my list.
You've been in it a lot more than I have. As I said, I was just situated in that one area for a few years with it.
I think like I say, Leicester and Derby, which is where I grew up and lived, and then Nottingham was kind of close by too as well. We were in the middle of the country, so bands would come there on their way to Manchester and Sheffield and Liverpool, and then like on the way back down, or from Scotland coming down. So we got all of the shows there between John at the Firebug doing the Robot Needs Homes shows, and then Marty, the guitarist at the Captain, did Button Pusher shows in Derby and Nottingham. And always he would get the bands from Ireland, the bands from the Big Scary Monster bands, the Richter Collective bands. They would all come through those two cities.
Before,
I think I was just very lucky to be in that physical space at that time.
Before we had Arctangent, it was the Off the Cuff festival, the flapper.
I never went to that, unfortunately.
There was like some good lineups there, man. I tell you, like, yeah, I went to the one day once 1 year, but the Flapper, I don't know if anyone's ever been there. I guess there's only 18 people here, so probably not. But that's been knocked down. I tell you, demolished soon. So that's a shame.
Yeah, I know they tried to save it, but
like, yeah, I signed the petition to save it, but
you did all you could. You did all you could.
Corporate is coming for you and knock your pub. It was such a good venue, man. And I my dream was always to play there, and I got to do that twice, so I'm happy.
Nice, nice.
I went to the Blackfish See in Another City EP launch there. That was a great show, and went to the very last Color show as well in 2009 at the Firebug, and that was with Calories and
that was with Minaz as well from Leicester.
Yeah,
which was one of the guitarists from Tie Diary. He quit the band by throwing his guitar down, pulling his pants down, and showing his member to the audience. So they kicked him out of the band, obviously. And then he went and formed Minaz. But yeah, that show, the last Color show, that was the day that Michael Jackson died.
Yeah, that's how I remember it. But
so sad.
Because it's Color's last show that they, I guess they did a few shows, right? So they rehearsed it with Blackfish where they changed, band members. So I remember Peckett playing drums for Over the Moon and just seeing it, him on the kit. And then Alan played one of the Blackfish tunes. I can't remember which one. Probably like Jeremy Kyle as a Mark to Man or something like that. So, but that was a fantastic show. But my favorite show of all time was at I think it's called the Victoria in Birmingham. It's like on the second floor. And that show was, I think it was Shapes, Calories, and Tube Lord. And that was the first time I saw Tube Lord. And that was like a really packed, sweaty show. And, just full of energy. I was right at the front, singing along. I mean, I've been a fan of Tube Lord at that point for a while. So I knew all the songs. So, everybody's like, when you go to the show and everyone starts bowing along, and it's just that's what Tube Lord were, right? A band that you could do that along to. So.
Yeah, because they had those first few like singles, like 2-track and 3-track singles, where every song was gold, and so people would just like find one song and then just search LimeWire or like wherever they could, because there's no Bandcamp. The bands are not putting stuff on the line, so they're just like picking these songs from anywhere they can. But they became really big really quickly, and then it waited ages for that first album to come out.
That was disappointing. I found it.
Alas, yeah, it was. Although apparently about to be re-released on vinyl. If anyone wants to go check that out.
We was talking about it earlier that they're slowing the songs down. It lost all the energy that the and it's that's always a risk with a band if you re-record stuff, that sometimes the older stuff is less produced and not less polished.
Sure,
people prefer that, and
you have less time in the studio as well, so you can't nitpick stuff and polish things as well. I think the early Tube Lord stuff was so good. It was just poppy and energetic, and it just had these like weird, I don't know, guitar licks, but there was really cool.
After I Am Azar, is it Azarad?
I Am Azarad, yeah.
I Am Azarad, yeah. After that one.
So Azarad, he like the guy Azarad, he was a writer. He wrote this book on Nirvana, the lyrics to the song is like, "I will find you, Azarad. I will kill you, Azarad."
That's what
and the author found out about that song Googling his own name. And then like he Googles his name and then finds this song with these lyrics. What the fuck?
Wow.
So he did an interview with the singer of the band, with the singer of Tube Lord, should I say. And it's a really funny article. It's talking about how he randomly stumbles upon that song and thinks,
that's strange.
Yeah, but they were really cool at the time. So the best show that I ever saw was on my birthday. And I saw Youth Movie Soundtrack Strategies and 65 Days of Static, who one of my all-time favorite bands. They used to tour together a lot, and they came to Leicester on my birthday. They played those two bands, and then 3 local bands, which were Tie Diary, who I mentioned earlier, Public Relations Exercise, who were my Meet Me in St. Louis. Like they were the band that I that were doing that style of music that just blew me away. Like kind of post-hardcore, but very technical as well. And Fight Fire with Water, who were a very young band from just outside of Leicester.
Right.
The drummer ended up playing drums for Maybe She Will for most of their career, actually.
Okay.
But that was such an amazing show. It was like that mix of post and math rock that I was into, and there was 2 floors as well. So you'd like finish watching one band and then go up to the second floor, and the next band would have started, and you go down. And yeah, that was such a good birthday.
It kind of reminds me of that show you put on where you had the 3 floors of music. Was it 3 floors or 2 floors?
2 floors, probably. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird to keep hold of those things.
Yeah.
Keep on top of that stuff. It's fun. I like
how do you?
Where, there's not any downtime or anything like that.
Yeah, I say we've got probably about 10 minutes left, so maybe we could talk about like how these experiences we've had have influenced the ways that we write or play or something like that, or bands that we've done. I guess that you had your band in Derby, right? So
yeah, that band was veered between post rock and math rock, but we had 3 guitarists.
Did you record anything?
Yeah, we have 2 albums online.
Right. Okay.
On Bandcamp, if you search for Beyond This Point and Monsters.
Beyond This Point and Monsters. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, I'll put this in the description. So
sure.
Yeah.
That was 3 guitars, very intricate. I guess as a similar band, we did that kind of Toe-esque thing. Not as good as Toe, obviously, but it was that kind of music. Just very kind of intricate, but like energetic at the same time. And then when I moved to Korea, I started a band that was definitely more post-hardcore than that. But then post-rock, it was heavier and it was more energetic.
Colors. Yeah, I'll share that one so people can see. It's this album. What's the name of it?
Synesthesia.
What does that mean again? You said it's about music.
That's where you see music. In layman's terms, it's where you see audio or you see music as visual representations. But that's nowhere near what it actually is. It's just that's the pop medical version of what it means. So that was my first band in Korea.
And the track names are all you call colors. And then I guess I wonder where you got that name from, but and then you got all the tracks are colored names. So I think people can see that. I'll stop sharing, but they can go check that one out. So,
but for us, like for us in our band now, Mountains, I feel like our style of music is very influenced by that era of UK math rock, because we both left the UK at the peak of that era. So we both have the same kind of touchstones. Like we're both interested in the same kind of bands, and it definitely influences the music that we do in Mountains, where we want to be a little bit technical but not weird, and we want to be a little bit energetic and poppy and stuff like that. Maybe have choruses, maybe have sing-along parts, or gang chant parts, stuff like that. I've been
a fan of having melody and hooks and kind of stuff in my music, so I guess that comes through, hopefully.
Right. I mean, like a lot of math rock, or some math rock, does veer towards the prog side a little bit too much, or the jazz side, where it becomes a little bit noodly and unstructured. And I'm not into that kind of math rock at all. I like having structure,
Yeah, I am, but not massively. Like the very last show I watched before leaving England was it's when Terra Mellis came over and they toured with Tangled Hair. And I saw them at the HMV Institute in Birmingham, and that was with Shapes, Tangled Hair, and Terra Mellis, and they were incredibly tight. But the acoustics of the room just destroyed your ears, so I couldn't enjoy the show that well. So
unfortunately, really I think a lot of the venues that we dealt with at that point were not great venues.
Yeah, earplugs are essential at shows.
Yeah, I mean, I lost count of the amount of times that I saw you slut, and they were not great. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think they were fine for me because I knew the songs. But if you
right.
didn't know the
Didn't know
songs,
the
you
songs.
walk into this concrete room, and like they don't really have proper monitors, and the
Hmm.
band are struggling to hear themselves. Um, and it with that kind of music, it needs to be very precise. And unfortunately, because of the venue, yeah, it sometimes didn't come across that way, which sucked. But
What's
yeah,
the
tangled
Shapes
hair.
album?
So
The Pasture, the
shapes.
Oil, right?
I'm not sure. I just remember the one song "Trampled by Horse," which has an amazing
Struggles.
video.
Yeah,
Actually,
it's
it's just
Get Your Learn on
explosions
was the
and stuff.
first one, and it was the Pasture,
Mm.
the Oil, I think.
Pastoral Allure was the EP that's got "Trampled by Horse" on it, which
Yeah, yeah,
is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
such a tune, such a
I
golden
love the
tune.
whole thing, man. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, this guy
But
got the
yeah, we
depth.
should say like the mem or the was it just the singer from Color? He started Tangled Hair, and
And the drummer as well,
oh, is it
Trude.
the same drummer too?
James Trude,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, they just released their first album after a long 7 years, I think, since the first EPs came out, which is insane.
Yeah, that
Um,
EP came out when I was in England, and now
mm,
it's 7 years later, and they just got an album out. So, and in that time, we've started a band, made an album, and two EPs.
yeah, right. So, what do you think
Working.
to the album there, Steve?
Yeah, I was talking to my friend about this, and I think they released all the best tracks before it came out. So the ones that are in between, I don't really enjoy as much.
Mm,
But I do really like, like the main tracks on the CD.
sure. I think
Yeah.
like yeah, I think the tracks are really really solid. Where it suffers a little bit is the production on it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if that's intentional on their behalf. Maybe they wanted something a little rougher rather than polished.
I feel like
Maybe they ran out of
the
money. Maybe
first
they. I'm not sure.
the EP they did first is really like clear, it's quite nice, and then
Mm,
Apple's was that sounds like it's in a rehearsal room, right? Just
mm,
and then
like,
vocals done after, and it sounds more of the same in a sense. But the problem is because Alan uses a jazz master, and that's not exactly like a really Chris, it doesn't really cut through the mix so much. It has got a
mm,
lot of mid and low mids to the sound, and he plays it on the middle selection, I think, or on the neck pickup by the sounds of it. I mean,
mm,
don't quote me on that. I'm not entirely sure. So it'll really mix in with the bass frequencies somewhat. So it can sound quite muffled in places,
mm,
I'd say.
yeah.
I'd be interested to see how they actually recorded that new CD, if it's like another live one or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it's still like I mean the songs themselves are fantastic.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's
definitely.
it's really nice seeing like a remnants of that era
Definitely,
still
yeah.
playing
It's
music,
it's
you know.
it's making a hopefully it's making a comeback.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of the people that were involved in that time have either quit music or started bands that don't sound anything like that. Like, for example, Adebisi Shank, is it Lars, the guitarist, he went and started a band with the vocalist of the cast of Cheers, who were a really, really cool Irish band. And
Sorry,
I
I'll have
forget
to
what they're called
interrupt
now,
you,
all
but
all twins or all twins.
ultimately,
Um,
is that Paul
uh,
in the comments there saying you play a seven-string bass? Poor chap.
Never. Four string. Okay, bass players never play a 5-string bass. It is an abomination from the Lord. Just no, just no.
Just
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, right. That the guy saying that Tangled Hair album,
It
perhaps it was just
was
mastering
it
was
was
the
mastered by
problem.
the guy from Toe, like
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Nino. That's pretty
I
cool.
think it's not the mastering. I think it's more just the recording, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
know they're on Toe's
But
label,
I'm
and so
not
maybe.
too bothered by it because I'd rather have that than that really over processed sound that you get a lot of. Everything's
Hmm,
really compressed.
yeah.
I much prefer to if it sounded like that, then I would enjoy it less. So
Hmm.
it's a fine ground, in my opinion, to getting it right. So
On the
mm,
Fecking Bahamas podcast, which you should listen to if you're into this thing, the most
yeah,
recent one, they were talking about Metallica's album, I believe
yeah,
Death Magnetic, and Guitar Magazine got hold of the unmastered or the uncompressed tracks, put them
okay,
out, and then Metallica released the compressed versions, and obviously the uncompressed versions of the track sound much better. So fans were asking the band like, "Hey, can you give us the uncompressed version, because they sound so much fucking better than what you've released."
Wow.
But yeah, a lot of bands do that kind of super compressed thing where there's no depth to it, and that really does suck. Maybe that Tangled Hair album is something that we need to listen to more. Like, it's a bit of a sleeper. Like, if we give it another chance, we're going to hear what they've heard, what they've deemed good enough to put out.
Like I said, it's no means bad. Like,
no,
it's just not the I don't know what everyone else's thoughts about it, but they said they like the songs, but no one's the one guy about the mastering, I guess. But.
Yeah, maybe. I think that was probably the problem.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Well, we've done an hour, so maybe we should wrap it up. So
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add? But
no, just hopefully we can make a master list. I hope at some point in the future I will be able to. I'm planning to write an article about that era of UK math rock for Bahamas. If you haven't checked it out, the history of math rock article that was published 2 years ago. The very last paragraph touches on the UK, and it looks at bands that we've mentioned, youth movie soundtrack strategies, and Edmund Fitzgerald.
It's just fun to read in general. Just
it's a great article. And so what I'm hoping is that I can expand on that and write a larger article, kind of inspired by this conversation that we're having. But also there was a recent article in the NME about Tube Lord, and it was supposed to be about that era of math rock, but it didn't really talk about it at all. It just talked about Tube Lord.
We were discussing that, right? It was I didn't really I was expecting more to hear more.
It seemed like that was a hook, and it was kind of just shoehorned into the article, but they didn't really expand on it. And I think it would be really, really, because the UK math rock scene as it currently stands, I would wager was heavily inspired by that time. And now that we have these hundreds of bands in the UK playing math rock, and maybe the influence that they had in the States and vice versa, and in Japan as well, a lot of it started in that 2005 to 2010 11 time period, and it's still going. But I would love to write something about that, and I think it's in the works. It's in my head. It's like
I should try and do maybe something on career as well. Maybe your experience.
That would be a post-it note. Yeah,
a post-it note.
It would not take very long to do that.
I'm thinking well, we can do this again in the future, and maybe we can talk about the Korean side of things, and
playing math rock in the far east of Asia is an interesting thing.
So our experiences, maybe we can talk about the Asian scene in some sense, I guess. So do we have some insight in that, because we've been there for a while?
I know a lot of people, I see it in various places, that they're often asking, like, how can I start a math rock band in an area where there is not a math rock scene? And it's difficult, but it is possible. So we can maybe chat about that in the future.
If we can start a math rock band in Korea then I think it's possible.
Exactly.
If you're in England, if you're in America, or where it's popular, then you're not going to struggle too much, I think. If you apply
I do see people going like, I live in the middle.
Matthew Chan likes Tier Park, so that's good.
Tier Park, I love Tier Park.
That's great.
I do love Tier Park.
Okay, so I'll share your other bands, the Colors and Visuals, right? So Lekka's up on the EP you did is up on Spotify and stuff. So I'll spell that out here. Actually, it's double K, right? Lekker.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The band name is Visuals.
And Visuals. Yeah, I'll make a post on that. So I think that's everything. So
thank you for having me, Stephen.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll chat to you again later. So thanks for joining me. It was great to have your input on the subject. So
thank you very much.
Always appreciated. So right, chat to you later. Hang on, I'll eject you from the conversation. So
I'll quit before you.
You did as well, damn it. All right, well, thanks for listening, guys, and for your input in the comments there. I'm not sure if we're going to make this into a series. I'm contacting people, and we're going to have like maybe some podcasts, and we'll discuss whatever topics that we feel confident discussing. And we'll be doing some live stream Q&A again soon as well. So I'll answer your questions in more detail that way. And I can show you some stuff on the guitar as well. Yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy your Fridays. And I'll be finishing my beer, and I think I'll be going to bed or playing some Final Fantasy. I don't know. So, all right. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.